Alright, so it is Monday evening. I had said there were going to be a few things I was going to be working on today. One was the budget, so I did work on that. I sat down with the person who was helping me, and we got it all figured out. It ended up not being as bad as what I thought it was going to be. I think I was like going down a spiral of doom and just worry and panic and anxiety and all those good things. But luckily, with some guidance and just some kind of mapping, we were able to figure out the best route to go to get this stuff paid off. And here in the next few paychecks, I should be all good to go. But that being said, I hope after I'm able to get myself out of the little bit of um, back debt I got myself into, that I will be able to maybe get some stuff for the apartment to make it feel a little bit more like a home. But that being said, I actually did some reorganizing today, which definitely makes it feel more like a home. So I wanted to show that stuff now. Again, it's not going to be nothing major, but just a few changes I was able to do. And already I just feel better in the space. So I want to show that off. So I'll be showing that in the next few clips. Alright, so my last video I did one of my lists out of the YouTube stalker feed book, which by the way I got another one of them that is
what's going on in my life, and
still about making lists,
vlogs, some sit down,
but it's like future stuff, so it's not
weight loss, things about things I do out in the community,
of stuff that's already happened in your life, but
me
instead
and hopefully make some
like
friends, get some
and I guess that'd be an
followers, and
yeah,
just for a good time. So
either way.
in this video,
so yeah, my one for this
updates.
week,
I will also be answering one of the questions out of my lithographies and
places
I
you've
lived
lived
with it. So I really hope you
that's
enjoy that.
it'll
be
a little house
part
of
who I am,
doodled. And speaking of that, I know I had said that I was going to do the list, like I was going to write it out on video this next time. But after doing that, and filming it and watching it back, it was super boring to me, and I knew it would be boring to you. So I instead took inspiration from the doodle and did some doodles, and so I'm going to put those slides in to have something to view while you're listening to me answer, or make this list of places that I've lived. So without further ado, we'll start that.
So I guess we can say that my life technically began in Winter Park, Florida. Though I didn't live in the hospital, it was where I don't know, came into the world. But we actually lived in Longwood, Florida, which is about 12 miles north of Winter Park, and Winter Park is pretty close to Orlando. So just if you know where that is, then you might know where Winter Park is. Of course, being a baby, I don't remember anything about anything living there except for one thing, which were bats.
It's freaking bats. I love Halloween.
And I remember the bats because the sound, and they scared me, and then of course I remember my parents talking about it. And my mom still talks about it to this day. So, then we moved to Castleberry, Florida, which is about 3 miles south of Longwood. Again, don't remember much being a kid. I do remember there was a carport. We had a swing set with like a little slide in the yard. But I remember one day the house was being fumed, probably for bats or some kind of weird beetle or something. But because of that, my mom was outside and she was mowing the lawn, and I was outside and I was going to help her, and she asked me to lift up the swings. So I lifted up the swings, and that's when I was almost devoured by a giant wasp that came down and stung me in the thumb. And I remember we had to run inside, and we had to put something over our mouths, and she ran me in real quick and did that. And then I remember my brother and I think it may have just been my brother, but maybe my sister also came home. But I remember running to show at least my brother how brave I was. But yeah, no, that thing was huge, really big, really big. But yeah, anyway. And then in August of 1993, we moved to North Carolina, and it was up to Western North Carolina. And when we first got to North Carolina, we lived in a place called Fines Creek. And for those who don't know, Fines Creek it's still within the same county of Waynesville, North Carolina, but it is pretty high up. It's pretty far out there. It's a place that would get a lot of snow when Waynesville didn't, and school would be canceled because of Fines Creek. So we lived out there, and we lived in a trailer, and the only things that I really remember are the big satellite dish that was out in the yard. If it's as far as I remember, it didn't work. And then I also remember there was this fence, and behind the fence, some cows lived. And kind of side story, my brother used to get these things that my dad and my mom would call cow licks, which is like where the hair kind of sticks up in the front. And they told us it was when a cow came in, it would lick your head in the night. It would cause it to stick up like that. And of course, we didn't believe them. Until one day, we had woke up, and one of the cows had broken through the fence and was right outside the window. And that led us to believe that it stuck its tongue in during the night and had licked my brother. So yeah, that's the two things I remember about the house out in Fines Creek. Then when I was roughly in about the first grade, we moved about 16 miles south to Waynesville, which was kind of a big deal because, again, Fines Creek is out in the middle of nowhere. Waynesville is at least kind of a city, so it was a big deal. And while living there, I lived there from the ages of 7 to 18. So this was across about 3 places. Well, not about. It was 3 places. So the first one, it was kind of a weird building, but we used to call it the Big Junky White House. So the Big Junky White House used to, I think, be a business. And because of that, I had like a weird front part that was kind of like a showroom looking thing. And then there was like the house. But it was pretty big. And it was a very oddly laid out house with some secret walls and shit. And so where the house sat, the driveway was kind of a U-turn, and then like at each end were 2 speed bumps. There was a sign in the middle part, or at least one got put in afterwards, I believe, like after we moved. And then there was a loop that went back behind the house, and there were cabins back there, and people could rent them, and they were like by the week kind of renting places. So I never realized, but a lot of the folks who lived back there were kind of weird. One of them who lived in the one I just indicated, we used to call him Chainsaw Boy, because he used to come out all the time with a chainsaw. One time he showed up to our house like really late at night asking to use our phone, and he was wasted. And yeah, he had a chainsaw with him at one point when he came to the house. But then when a tree fell down due to snow, he was super excited to be able to use his chainsaw. But yeah, he was a strange guy. The second place we moved to, I would call the middle class upgrade. So I call it that because it was very much that middle class. We are talking literal white picket fence. I loved this house, and I loved it because it gave that feel. It felt like a house I'd seen in movies. It was near a park, so like my brother and I could go play at the park. It was close to Main Street, so we took some little walking day trips down to Main Street when I was younger. And it just felt like a home. Like when we decorated for Christmas, it had a stairwell, which had a banister, so we got to decorate it, and fireplace and larger living. Just I don't know. It just felt like one of those storybook movie homes that I'd always seen. But when we moved from there, we moved to the house that when I think of home in North Carolina, I think of here. I think of this place, which was Troy Court. So when you got to the house, it was 1.1 miles off of a main road. After you went back, then you turned off onto a dirt road and drove down, and we were at the very end. And so it was tucked back, but it felt secure. But we still had neighbors. We were close to people. I don't know. I didn't appreciate it as much as I did when I was younger. But yeah, when you pulled up, the carport was off to the left. We had a basketball hoop. You could get into the backyard, go around. It was a wraparound yard, so you could get all the way to the front from the back and everything. So we had tons of fun playing in the yard. We'd hide in the bushes. There were 2 technical entrances, but we never really used the front entrance. We'd use the side entrance. And that's because, like, when you pulled up, that's how you would be able to get inside real quick versus having to walk through a gate and go through the front door. So this was my home from about 4th grade to 12th grade. And, I mean, we're talking a lot of memories. My grandmother had a stroke there. My mom and dad separated there. I grew up there. I watched my family kind of fall apart a little bit there. But there was definitely a lot of growth, too. I mean, I became who I am living there. Definitely look back on it more fondly now than I did when I was a teenager, and I didn't appreciate it as much. Then in the fall of 2007, so after I graduated, I moved to Pennsylvania. And I moved to Pennsylvania because I started college. And I went to Philadelphia. And so my first year, when I was there, I lived in an apartment dorm that was off of Broad Street and Pine Street. And then I lived off of Locust and Broad Street for the rest of the time, but that was in my own apartment. So yeah, I lived right in what was called Center City, Philadelphia, if you're familiar with it, and I loved it. I look back on that time, and my heart just, it warms up. I miss it. I wish I could go back in my mind to that time and just relive it, but yeah, I look back on it very fondly. After that, I moved back to North Carolina for just a little bit after school and everything. And then I moved out to Washington State, out to the Seattle, Washington area. And I want to say it was 2011, but I'm very unsure of the date on that one. But I want to say it was 2011. So in Washington, I lived in 3 places. So the first place that I lived was for about 5 months, and it was in Renton. I lived with people that I had met through roommates.com. I talked to them online, talked to them on the phone. Guy was from South Carolina, lady was from South Africa, but him and I had gotten along because we're from very similar areas. Her and I got along because she's big into dogs. So yeah, it seemed like it was going to work out great until I got there, and not only was the area terrible that I lived in, at least for me, not being somebody who had a car or was driving at that moment there. Of course, knew how to drive, been driving since I was a teenager, had my license, had a car, but just wasn't able to take it out there with me. So, where we lived, it was terrible getting to and from work, getting groceries. They had like 3 vehicles, but would sometimes offer, they'd be like, oh, do you need to go to the grocery store? They would offer, and then suddenly cancel on me like 20 minutes before. So I stopped trusting them even offering to me, and I was just like, no, I'll do it. But they also argued constantly, and she was extremely irresponsible with a lot of things. When it came to working, she was like, oh, I don't want to work a full-time job, even though he, like, said that they needed to, because when they bought their condo. Anyway, it was a lot of stuff. One day I woke up, and she had brought home, because she volunteered at the Animal Humane Society, she had brought home 7 puppies, and they were just, like, baby fenced into the kitchen. And yeah, she just fucked off to Canada with her husband, with our other person who lived there, and left a note and was just like, do you mind taking them out if they need to go out? But the puppy pad should be fine. Like, see you in a few days. Something like that. And apparently they had called somebody else to come watch them. And I didn't know that because they didn't put that in the note. But it was just more like waking up and having a bunch of puppies. Like, as cute as it sounds, it's also very loud. So yeah, I promptly moved from there and I actually moved in with my best friend. But we lived in Bellevue. So lived there for roughly about 4 years. If it wasn't for the price, I would probably still be living there to this day. Probably would have never moved. But unfortunately, price drove us out because Bellevue is a very expensive area and price just continues to go up. So I liked Bellevue because it was extremely walkable when I was without a car. And then once I got my car, of course, it expanded out what I was able to do. But I very much enjoyed Bellevue. If and when I move back, I will definitely be looking at East Side as an option. Then the third place was up in Shoreline. So Shoreline was not terrible. I know a lot of people give it a lot of shit. People give Aurora Avenue a lot of shit. But ultimately, I was in a house that was pretty good size for where it was and all the stuff. And again, the price had kept going up though, and our property person was a tyrant, and he was never going to fix the stuff
Yes, we sat together
that
at
was
Bell Square.
super outdated, but the costs kept
No, I
going
read it on
up.
the message.
We're talking like we had electrical that if you ran two things at the same time that were like slightly high power, everything in the house would shut off. We're not talking like we weren't trying to run two industrial size things. We weren't trying to run two major appliances. We're literally talking like a fan and in using the microwave and a computer, and it would just the whole thing would blow. But it was never going to get fixed. So ultimately, we moved, and of course, the guy sold everything because that's what he wanted to do. And it got whole bunch of updates and looks beautiful now, of course. But then in 2021, in April, I moved to Maine with my mom and now who's my ex partner. And I plan, well, we plan, my mom and I, to move back as soon as possible. Why, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you why. So here's three good things and three bad things about me. And I guess because I'm a pessimist, let's start with the bad. So first thing, terrible drivers. No joke, this place has the worst drivers I have ever seen. I have a theory of why, and I'll go over that maybe at some other point. But terrible drivers. Daily. Daily I see at least 10 to 12 people commit violations that could potentially harm and or kill somebody. So we're not talking things like, oh my god, they didn't fully stop at that stop sign, but they rolled almost, or they came almost to a complete stop, but they didn't completely stop. I'm not nitpicking shit here. I am talking like they don't even stop at the stop signs. They jokingly call them stoptionals because people just don't even slow down. They just go right through them. The light will change, it'll go from yellow to red. It will have already been red, and then a car will just fly through an intersection. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. Outside of that, other thing, horrendous infrastructure. We're talking about everything. Just how things are handled, where the money's being used, how they literally e-beg you at the time that you file your state taxes to try to get you to go ahead and prepay the next year's income tax because they're needing money, but they do not know how to spend it and they do it horribly. And they're going backwards socially. A lot of the stuff here is just getting ridiculous. How many blatantly racist bigoted people this area has, and how many people are just like, well, it's pretty bogus. But good things. So, moose, definitely a good thing. I think they're awesome. I've seen only one in a wildlife park, but hopefully before I leave, I will see one in the wild and it be a good experience. Of course, Stephen King is from here. But other than that, yeah. And then the fall. The fall is really, really pretty here. But other than that, I think I'm done with it. That being said, I do want to thank you for taking the time to watch this. Maybe one day I'll go more in detail about certain places, or if another topic comes up where it leads me into talking about it more. These are all the places that I have made home or had called a home at some point, and who knows what the future holds. Again, thanks for watching, and please keep watching the rest of the video. Alright, bye. Hey everybody, it is Tuesday. So yesterday I had off and that was Labor Day, so I'm starting my week on a Tuesday, which is kind of weird since our clinic day is on Tuesday. And so I'm used to coming in on Monday and it being like really chill, but coming in on Tuesday it's pretty hectic in the morning. So walked into just a lot of stuff going on. I had to open today, which I usually am not the person who opens the exchange area, but today I was helping to cover, so I did that and got that all open. Helped some really awesome clients today. I was able to get them quite a few things that they needed, and I love that kind of stuff. Like it's nice when we have the stuff that they need, and just like them going, oh, it would be really cool if I could get like a shaving kit and a pair of socks and let's say a hat. And so I go to the back and I get all that stuff and I'm able to bring it back and be like, oh, look, got everything you needed. It just feels really nice. But sometimes we don't have things like certain clothes. It is so hard to keep things in, like men's clothes especially. It's something that we see societally a lot, especially in the US, where women's fashion or feminine fashion is really pushed pretty heavy, so a lot of the time people buy multiple things. There's a lot of like fast fashion and cheap fashion kind of places, so people are able to get a lot of things, and then once they either don't realize they don't wear them or didn't really like them as much as they thought that they did, it gets donated. And so on the feminine side we usually have a lot more stuff than we do on the masculine side, especially larger sizes, masculine, or the average, the kind of the medium large area within sizing. We have like a ton of really small shirts, and we have quite a few like XLs, which are really helping, but it's also like some of them are much bigger, and a lot of the XLs are actually like polo kind of style shirts. A lot of our clients durable enough, or really so it's unfortunate right now, but I'm hoping to go out toward like the by the pound Goodwill shop and hopefully maybe stock up on some stuff out there. So maybe I'll do that this weekend. That might be what I do. So I'll film that if that's what I end up going out and doing. But Tonight, I'm going to be working on the newsletter that should be going out this week at work. And then after that, I'll probably draw for a little bit, watch some stuff on YouTube, just have something in the background, but just enjoy and relax for the rest of the night. But I will see you in the next clip, and hope you have a good rest of your Tuesday as well. Bye. Hey everybody. It is, well, technically Thursday because it's after midnight, but I've been sitting here just listening to music and stuff. But I realized that tonight I'm having like really bad, like, I don't know if it's really considered body dysmorphia or body image things, or I don't know. I just like, I can't look in the mirror at myself right now. I'm actually filming on my front, like,
So
not my forward facing camera, but the back one, because I don't want to look at myself.
And I think the highest
I've been avoiding the mirror.
12 total for,
if I look at parts of my body, they look like grotesque to me,
so I wanted to show,
and so yeah, I think I'm just gonna just
so
try to put it down, just head off to bed, and just let this feeling pass. But
accuracy, best I've ever done.
I just kind of wanted to talk about it in the moment because it's not a
very,
great
very
feeling,
happy with this
and
game.
I'm sure others deal with it, but I don't see many people talk about it, so I hope my talking about it can show others that it's okay to bring it up, and to be able to work past it in our own ways. Maybe want to look at this later, be like, oh, I'll see you in the next clip, everybody. Thanks. Bye.
Cute little dog you've got there. But hold on. In a previous life, he could have been George Washington. Nice cat. Perhaps Annie Oakley? And look at him. Why, it's Napoleon. Reincarnation.
Hey everyone, it's Friday, which means it is my night to be able to relax because tomorrow, instead of my Monday through Friday big kid job, it is my more laid back, relaxed, have fun kind of job. And that's something I kind of need this week. So it was a pretty stressful week. There was a sweep of one of the biggest encampments in our area. At least 150 people were displaced, with no room in the shelters, with no place for them to go. And that means all the people we've been working with, people I've been testing and trying to get results and treatment to, are now all over the city, with phones that may or may not work, and hoping that they will check back in with me at some point. So with that, it's a lot of trauma is caused every time a sweep is done. So tonight I really need to relax. So I think I'm going to play Fortnite, and I might stream, but I might film some other stuff. So I'll see you in some other clips. But thanks for tuning in. Everyone, it's Saturday. I'm about to head in to my weekend job. I actually woke up a little earlier than I usually do on Saturday, and so I was able to get some stuff done before work, which made me feel like I'm a little bit put together, which is an awesome feeling. But yeah, I'm gonna head in, do some hours of work. It's a beautiful day, so later on I might go for a walk, but we'll kind of see how I feel. I finally figured out, I think, what is up with my heel. After researching and kind of pinpointing the spot in the heel that seems to be inflamed and is causing the most issue. Heel bursitis, I think is how it's pronounced. Seems like the most likely culprit, so I've looked and seen some at-home remedies I can try, and then that's something I'm going to be able to talk with my doctor about whenever I'm able to see them next. But that being said, I just know that today I'm just going to want to just take it a little bit easier on that particular ankle. Most of the time I'm kind of standing at my station doing my stuff, so I should be fine, but just something for me to kind of keep in mind today, just to make sure I'm not in pain by the end of the day. Anyway, I'm going to jump in and do this work, but as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next clip. Everybody, it is Saturday night, technically Sunday morning, but I actually came in to lay down earlier than I usually do. So yeah, I've already taken my shower. I did some stretches because I have been dealing with some pain of heel bursitis is what it's called. And there seems to be two different kinds. There's like two spots that it can affect. But I'll show you the spot that it affects for me here in a second. But because of that pain and discomfort, I have been trying to figure out some good like at-home ways that I can help to alleviate some of that pain until I'm able to talk to a doctor about it. And one of the things that it had said was like not to press on it or massage it, which I had been doing, so I'm not going to do that anymore. But it did say to ice it, so I grabbed my ice pack, and it also suggested some stretches. So I've done those, and then I took a shower, and now I am relaxing. But one of the things that I noticed that seems to kind of trigger some of the pain, I think I solved, and I kind of want to show off what I did, but I'll also show where the pain is. So let's do that. Alright, so my heel, so people who have plantar fiscaritis usually will have it in here, and will like pain kind of through here. People who have direct heel pain will usually have kind of through here. My pain is not in there whatsoever. My pain is not anywhere near the top, anything, not at the very top here. Where my pain is right there. Which even doing that, I am barely touching. I am just rubbing my finger very lightly, and that hurts, especially when I get closer to that tip part. And because of that, it makes walking very difficult once that gets inflamed. And so I, of course, have been walking more, doing a lot more outreach and exercise lately. So it's just something that I am starting to feel the pain from. So I'm doing different things to try to help alleviate it. Again, icing, stretching, and trying to get the appointment to see my doctor. But like most people, it's very, very, very hard to see our primary doctors at this time. But that being said, one of the things that I notice is that when my foot drops from this, 90-degree angle, it hurts back here, like really bad. So, I know that they sell like a boot thing that does this. I don't have that kind of money right now. So, in the meantime, I created one for myself, and it has actually been helping. Hey everybody, it is the morning time, which means it is time for my morning routine. I figured I would do this before I did my weigh-in today. So I'm just kind of trying to get my skin a little bit refreshed. I'm not usually a morning routine person, if I'm honest. I usually wake up, do the very, very, very basic hygiene in the morning, and then I am out the door. So I don't really have a skincare routine. I don't have anything. But now that I am really trying to work on myself, one of the things I wanted to do was try to have more of a morning routine, more of something that is going to benefit me in some way. So, I figured I would do this while I was talking with folks. I'm about to be doing my weigh-in, which is something that I'm actually kind of excited about. I know I said that before, but I think I'm excited because this week I have been really, really, really pushing myself when it came to the physical activity aspect. And what I mean by that is not so much that I worked out or that I did any kind of like major workout routine or joined a gym or anything like that. But this last week, sadly, because there were what are called encampment sweeps, which I'll be talking about in a little bit, because there are encampment sweeps, I was walking a ton in the direct sun, which is actually why I'm a little bit tan, which is very odd for me. I'm usually either pasty white or burnt and super red. So, for me, to have any semblance of a tan is awesome. Okay, I'm going to turn the water on for a second. So, because of that, I was definitely sweating a lot more. I was definitely being more active, got my heart rate up. So I feel that that helped, in a way, for me to be able to feel better, if nothing else. I know we talk a lot about scale victories and that kind of stuff, but there's some off-scale victories that can definitely be talked about, which is, again, the fact that outreach has been a lot easier. I do feel like my stamina is increasing. When I sweat, I actually feel, I don't know what the word is, like motivated, I guess is the right word. But I feel that way. So it's definitely a new feeling. It's definitely something I haven't felt for a while, if I had felt it before. But, yeah, I will definitely say that it is helping just my physical being, having lost the weight that I have. So, I'm excited to see what this week holds for the weigh-in. That being said, I'm just going to put a little bit of my lotion on, and then I'm going to film my weigh-in. So I'll see you at that point. Alright everybody, I apologize for the terrible angle, but I realized last week, and I didn't do it in that video, but the videos before, I hold my phone as I'm weighing in, which I know does not add a ton of weight, but it does add weight, so I just want to make sure that's not being done. So I set up my little tripod, and we got Camden here for the weigh-in as well. So, I believe last week I was at like 301 something. So let's see what I am at this week. So I'm going to do this, in case you're wondering. I like to look forward as I'm weighing in, because I notice that when I look down, the weight just like moves around a lot. And it takes a second for it to be able to register my weight. So when I just look forward, it registers very quickly, and then I just step back and I look. So if you wonder why I'm standing there, that's why I'm doing that. So yeah, let's get this turned here. And here we go. Alright, I think we're good. I'm down a few pounds, so I'll put that loss somewhere in here, probably up there by Camden. But yeah, so the loss is there. That's exactly what I was hoping for. And this week I have looked up some workout stuff I want to do, so I will be going over that probably here in this next clip. So I'll see you in that one. Alright, so I pulled out my planner here, which is probably one of the coolest planners. It has birds in it that say fuck a lot, which I love. But let's see, this next week. So I looked up a few things in my area that I am very interested in doing. First one is going to be water aerobics, something that's very good, that's lower impact for my joints, which I do have issues with. So that is from 8 till 9, and that goes Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I'm gonna pick 2 days a week and do those. If I'm up to it, I'm gonna try to do 3, but I'm going to set myself at 2, knowing that that is a more realistic goal for that. So those are going to be kind of my main workouts that I'm going to be doing. But then, you know, workout is great for body health, and sometimes, of course, for mental health, but I need to focus also on my mental well-being and strengthening that as well. So outside of physical workouts, I'm also going to be doing on Tuesdays, there is a support group for trans individuals, and though I sought support in the way of a support group when I was first transitioning, I now feel I'm at a point where a support group will be beneficial for the side of a social interaction more than getting something out of it that other folks might be seeking. But I would like to go and offer HIV and Hep C testing in like a private room if they have it. So I'm going to offer that to them, and then potentially show up to these meetings and not just interact, but also offer a service. So I'm looking forward to that. And then on Wednesdays in the evening, there is a support group for people with eating disorders. And I know that when we talk about eating disorders, a lot of the time people think of really, really, really skinny people, people who, you know, are what are kind of put in textbook definitions of somebody who is has an eating disorder. So a lot of the time we laugh at or scoff or brush off larger people and the concepts of eating disorders, even something like bulimia or anorexia. People look at bigger folks and say, well, there's no way they can have that, they're fat. So yeah, I'm going to be seeking a support group for that, and that is something that I am looking forward to quite a bit. But yeah, other than that, my week will be pretty normal. Outreach on Mondays, potentially now Wednesdays for outreach. I'll be in the exchange area on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then more open on Wednesdays and Fridays. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this week because I'm looking forward to jumping into some of these things. I'm probably going to do the Wednesday and Friday, since I've not yet got it checked out with my boss yet, to come in a little bit later on Monday, but I'm going to do that tomorrow. So yeah, I look forward to this week and seeing what kind of activities I can get into. And water aerobics has always been something I like. So I also like making friends with people who go in to do water aerobics, because most of the time they are of the older ages and they find me adorable somehow. So I look forward to that. But thank you everyone for checking in on this one, and I'll see you in the next clip. Hey everyone, so I'm sitting here editing my video and I'm trying to put in my outro and my intro, and I just wanted to show how hectic this is doing this on my iPad. Because I can't put it in my intro and it bums me out, but I just wanted to show kind of how wild this looks. So I'll show this and then I'll do my outro. So as I'm editing this video, you can see these are like all the edits that I've done through audio and video and cuts and stuff. And if I go to the front here and I add in my intro that I've filmed, it moves all these audios over slightly, and I would have to go back in and move them one by one. And I'm sorry, but I can't do that. So no intro this time, I do apologize. But here's the outro. So thank you again if you have gotten all the way here to the end of the video. It means a lot to me if folks watch just all the way through. It really means a lot to me if anyone watches at all, but of course all the way to the end means a lot. So I will leave my socials around, so you can feel free to reach out to me on there. And again, if you feel comfortable, please engage with this video however you feel comfortable, whether that is commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing, or reaching out on one of the other socials. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next one.